Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking closely at a property transaction. It involves a former head of state, and on the surface it might just look like a standard real estate thing. But as we started digging into the sources, it reveals a really complex story. We're talking personal anguish, serious security worries, and some major legal challenges too. We've got confirmations from family members, reports from big media outlets, and they all paint this picture of what's being called a sale, well, under duress. So our mission today is to pull out the key facts, the important bits of knowledge, and maybe some surprising details for you from all this material. Right, let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, let's just establish the basics. What property are we actually talking about here? And who confirmed it was being sold? When did this all come out?
Right. So the property is the residential house of former President Rodrigo Duterte. It's located in Davao City in the Philippines. And the sale was confirmed pretty definitively around June 28th, maybe June 29th, 2025. What's interesting is it wasn't, a broker or an agent who announced it. It came directly from his common-law wife, Honeylet Avanceña. And that was then backed up by his daughter, Veronica Duterte, who posted about it publicly on social media. And yeah, big outlets like DZRH, the Manila Bulletin, Newsline Philippines, they all reported on it pretty quickly.
Okay, Davao City. Now, you mentioned that location. Why is that particularly significant, especially for Duterte?
Well, Davao City is, it's more than just a city for him. It was really the bedrock of his entire political career, wasn't it? He spent decades there as mayor before he even became president. So the fact that the confirmation came directly from his, immediate family, it suggests this isn't just a quiet, private sale. It feels more like they're deliberately managing the story, maybe signaling, a new phase or something.
That makes sense. The history there is huge, which brings us to the why. This clearly isn't just about, packing up and moving house. Our sources really emphasize that the decision was driven by some deep personal issues and external pressures. They even use the word abandonment. What's going on there?
Yeah, abandonment is a strong word, but it seems fitting here. A huge factor is the emotional weight this has had on Honeylet Avanceña. She actually said something quite revealing. She said, "Masakit sa dibdib ko every time I go inside," which means, it hurts my heart every time I go inside. Then she added, "Ako na lang ang pumapasok to furen. May apat na katulong pero lang amo," meaning I'm the only one who goes in there. There are 4 helpers, but no master. And finally, we abandoned it after what happened. So that really highlights this deep personal pain about the house just sitting empty. No family members have lived there for a while now.
Wow, that's quite a statement. Very personal. And then on top of that emotional burden, there were these pretty serious security concerns you mentioned, almost unbelievable stuff, according to the sources. What exactly made the house, unlivable for them?
Yeah, it gets pretty extreme. Apparently, lawyers advised them they needed to install a lot of surveillance gear. We're talking CCTV cameras.
Okay.
And the sources specifically say even inside the bedroom.
Inside the bedroom.
Exactly. Just imagine that level of intrusion into your most private space. It apparently made it totally impossible for Honeylet Avanceña to sleep there or even just feel comfortable in her own home. So you see this extraordinary level of, perceived threat. It basically turned the home from a sanctuary into a monitored zone. She just couldn't stay there.
That's a chilling detail.
Yeah.
Surveillance inside the bedroom.
Yeah.
So how does this all connect to the bigger picture? The sources mention these undisclosed incidents or legal troubles being the trigger for abandoning the house. Can you maybe flesh that out a bit more?
Right. That's the crucial link. Later reports, they explicitly connect this abandonment, this whole situation, to the former president's current legal issues. He's reportedly detained, as you probably know, at The Hague in the Netherlands by the International Criminal Court, the ICC.
Right, the ICC case.
Yes, facing charges related to alleged crimes against humanity. So that seems to establish a pretty clear cause and effect chain. His legal problems escalate, including the detention. That apparently leads to increased security threats, or at least worries, for the family back home, which then leads to the lawyers recommending this intense surveillance, and that makes the home uninhabitable, emotionally and practically, which ultimately results in them abandoning it and deciding to sell. So it really paints a picture of a forced displacement, not really a choice they made freely.
That sequence makes a lot of sense, connecting the dots from The Hague right back to the house in Davao. So bringing us to the present, what's the latest on the house itself? Is it still just sitting empty? And what about the sale? Are there details still missing?
Yeah, as far as the latest reports go, the house is still vacant, unused. No members of the Duterte family are living there. And yes, despite the confirmation that it is for sale, several key details are still under wraps. We haven't seen an asking price mentioned anywhere. And there's been no word on any potential buyers either. So still quite a bit of mystery around the actual transaction.
No price, no buyers yet. That's interesting. And what about the rest of the family? I mean, the Dutertes are a very prominent political family. Have other key figures, like his children who were in politics, said anything about this?
That's actually another really notable point, the silence. We haven't heard any public statements about the sale from other well-known family members. People like Congressman Paolo Duterte or Davao City Mayor Sebastian Duterte or even Vice President Sara Duterte. Nothing public that's been reported. And, for such a politically active family, the lack of public comment from these individuals, especially those holding major political offices, well, it could be read as a deliberate strategy, couldn't it? Maybe an attempt to sort of compartmentalize the issue. Keep a private family matter from spilling over and becoming a political headache or a distraction, especially given how sensitive the whole situation is with the former president's legal battles.
That's a very plausible reading, keeping it contained. So if we step back and look at the whole thing, this isn't just selling a house, is it? It feels like a really significant moment driven by this mix of personal pain, intense security needs, and the direct fallout from these legal challenges. What's the sort of the deeper meaning we can take from this?
I think you've hit it exactly. It's far more than just a real estate deal. That house, used to be such a central place for him personally and politically in Davao. And now it just stands there empty. It's become this quiet symbol of changing times, really shifting circumstances. The fact that it was abandoned and is now being sold under these specific conditions, it signals a really profound, tangible change in the family's private life. And you could argue by extension, it impacts the broader political narrative around the Duterte legacy as well. Like we discussed, this feels like a forced adaptation, not something they chose. And it really highlights the often unseen personal costs that come with that kind of high-level public life and the long shadow cast by major legal battles. So yeah, what looks like a private property issue on the surface is actually deeply, deeply tied into his public legal struggles. It's a powerful illustration of how political pressures can just fundamentally disrupt the most private parts of life for individuals and their families.
That was a really insightful deep dive. It's amazing how something starting as a house sale report quickly unfolds into layers of personal struggle, these extreme security issues, and the huge ripple effects of legal challenges. It really is a stark reminder, isn't it, that behind every public figure, there's a private life that gets profoundly affected by these larger events.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, in a world where public scrutiny and political pressures can force people into situations like installing cameras in their own bedrooms, how much of anyone's personal sanctuary can truly stay private? Especially for those who live in the public eye, it's quite a powerful example of those invisible costs we talked about, the costs of having a high-profile career.
That's a great thought to leave everyone with as they think about this. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. Stay curious, everyone, and we'll see you next time as we unpack another stack of sources.